And all of these guys have played a lot of college football. And to me, that suggests that, hey, you're expecting these guys to be able to come in and contribute right away. Hello, and thank you for joining us here on Broncos and Bourbon, a draft special here covering day 2 of the 2025 NFL Draft. I'm Phil Milani, and the Broncos were very busy here on day 2, wheeling and dealing a couple of trades, one trading back, and then at the very end of round 3, the Broncos traded up. And there's becoming a theme here with the players that the Broncos have drafted so far in this draft, and that is college experience. And the 3 guys that they drafted on day 2 have played a lot of college football. The Broncos using their first 2 picks here on day 2 on the offensive side of the ball, selecting RJ Harvey, a running back out of Central Florida, with the 60th overall pick. And then a little bit later, Pat Bryant, a wide receiver out of Illinois, with the 74th pick. So the Broncos helping Bo Nix and that side of the ball early on day 2 here. And then right at the very end of round 3, the Broncos traded up to take Sai'vion Jones, an edge defender out of LSU. And all of these guys have played a lot of college football. And to me, that suggests that, hey, you're expecting these guys to be able to come in and contribute right away. And in general, if you're drafted in the first 2 days of the draft, you should be playing somewhat as a rookie. Don't have to be a starter, but you got to be playing, get in a jersey on game day here. That's the goal, at least. So let's break down these guys and the moves that the Broncos made. First, RJ Harvey with the 60th pick, running back out of Central Florida. I think the big notable thing on him is his height. He's 5'8", 207 pounds. And, you think about shorter running backs. You think about a guy like Barry Sanders was 5'8". Here in Denver more recently, C.J. Anderson was 5'8". Sean Payton, clearly familiar with a smaller running back, and Darren Sproles, I believe he was 5'6". So these guys are low and hard to bring down to the ground. They're shifty. Harvey, certainly shifty. That's probably his biggest attribute, I would say, from the highlights that I've seen. And he's produced at a high level there at UCF. He has the most touchdowns in UCF history. So he's played a lot of football and he's produced a lot. Last year, 1,577 rushing yards, 22 touchdowns on the ground. Also caught the ball a little bit, 20 catches, 3 touchdowns through the air there. So using him in wheel routes a little bit there at UCF. And, heard Daniel Jeremiah breaking him down a little bit, saying that he's a nightmare to bring to the ground. So RJ Harvey, going to be a guy who is shifty and going to be hard to bring down to the ground. And I think that many of us, me included, thought maybe Harvey was a little bit of a later guy in the draft. Really, him and Bryant were both projected to go a little bit later in this draft. But look, I trust Sean Payton when it comes to running backs. And Harvey is the 3rd highest running back that Sean Payton's ever taken. In 2006, Reggie Bush, the number 2 overall pick. And then in 2011, Mark Ingram, the 28th overall pick. And then right after those 2, it's RJ Harvey this year with the 60th pick. So clearly Sean Payton thinks very highly of Harvey and what he'll be able to bring to this offense. And him and George Payton working together here. I liked what George had to say at the end of the night. He said, hey, congratulations to Sean Payton. First time ever trading back in the draft. The Broncos moved back early on day 2, and then they take Harvey here with the 60th pick. I think that with a shorter running back, your concern might be 2 things. I think 1, breakaway speed. Does he have the speed that if he breaks one out, is he going to be able to take it the distance and get all the way to the end zone? We'll have to see. We'll have to see what that speed is like. Shorter running backs have shorter legs, and and those long ones, some of them have a hard time breaking it all the way home. But I will say it's more important to be able to get it outside and take it as far as you can. That getting that first hole, getting through the line there, and going forward. Let's worry about that first, and then we'll see if Harvey can develop some of that speed to be able to get all the way. The second thing I think that maybe you're concerned about is pass protection, okay? Is he going to be able to sit in there and help Bo out when there's a blitzer coming through? 5'8", 207 pounds. I'll say this about that. I think it's more important to know where the blitz is coming from and to be able to just get in the way and buy Bo a little bit more time to get rid of the ball. I mean, unless you're Derrick Henry, you're really going to be giving up size to any linebacker who you're trying to block there. So it's not like you need to go up and blow up a blitzing linebacker coming through. What you need to know is where the linebacker's coming from and when to step up and take that guy down. And if Harvey has those smarts that he's going to be able to play on third down. I talked about C.J. Anderson there. C.J. didn't have the size, but he had the smarts, to be able to stay back there and protect Peyton Manning. So I think that for Harvey to be able to be out there on third down, to be able to use his pass catching abilities, he's going to have those smarts and be able to step up and get in front of a blitzer and protect Bo. So I think those are the two things maybe you're a little bit concerned about. But again, got to trust what Sean Payton sees in him and also with George Payton there too. So Harvey, the 60th overall pick in this draft. And really, we'll have to see with the Broncos here. Look, obviously, running back is a position of need. A lot of people thought the Broncos were going to go running back in the first round. They let some of these guys go that were really highly talked about. Ashton Genty, Amari and Hampton, both of those guys are in the division now. And so they're going to be, on the mind of fans a lot. Look, if Genty becomes a superstar, Hampton becomes a superstar, and things don't quite work out with Harvey, Broncos fans are going to know about it, and they're going to let Sean Payton, George Payton know. That being said, maybe it's a good move. Time will tell here, with this decision making. So Harvey is the guy for the Broncos that they take, and we'll have to see. Certainly a shifty guy who's produced a lot, and with Sean Payton's history with the running back position, you got to be excited to see what Harvey's able to bring to this offense. Moving on here in the third round, the Broncos select Pat Bryant, a wide receiver out of Illinois, 6'2", 204 pounds, has that prototypical NFL size that you're looking for. I would think that he was considered a sleeper and maybe expected to go on day 3 of this draft, mostly because he did not perform great at the combine. Ran a 4.6 140. I think you're looking for a little bit more speed there. But what's important is what you see on the film. And he looks plenty fast. A lot of yards after catch. His biggest play last year for the Illini was a game-winning catch against Rutgers. Catches the ball in the middle of the field. The clock is ticking down, and he's able to take it around to the outside and in for a game-winning touchdown as the clock is ticking down. So he looked plenty fast there, and I think that you just got to trust what you see on tape. Last year, 82 receptions, 10 touchdowns. Both of those numbers good for third in the Big Ten. So he's produced a lot there. And I also believe he has good hands. Only one drop. That was the number that was circulating here on day 2 of the draft. One drop. Those are things that you're looking for. Can a guy produce? Can he be sure-handed? Can Bo Nix rely on him? The Broncos had some drop issues last year, and so if Pat Bryant is able to come in and solidify maybe that number 2 wideout position and be a weapon for both, that's what you're looking for. Now, look, the Broncos need to continue to add weapons here on the offensive side of the ball. Cortland Sutton is obviously the number one guy. He's starting to get a little bit older, okay? I think that the Broncos are high on Devon Bailey. Sean Payton said as much at the end of the season in his wrap-up press conference. And I think that Bailey was another sure-handed guy. So that's going to be a good competition to see what happens at that number 2 spot for the Broncos at the wide receiver position. Marvin Mims is there. They started to use him in a different way behind the line of scrimmage, getting the ball in his hands in some creative ways. So that traditional number 2 wideout, that seems like it's up for grabs. Troy Franklin, another guy, but for the Broncos to take Bryant this early, I feel like they gotta like what they see on tape here. Both Harvey and Bryant, team captains, in addition to Barron. So the Broncos' first 3 picks, team captains. So the Broncos looking for those kind of players now. Look, guys who've produced a lot at the college level, have been good locker room guys, and they continue to select players like that. Before the night was through, they traded back up into the 3rd round and took Sai'vion Jones, an edge rusher, a senior, another guy who's played a lot of college football, started 13 games for LSU, both of the last 2 seasons. In 2024, 40 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. So decent production there. See how the Broncos end up using him. If he's a guy who's got his hand in the dirt, if he's rushing, standing up. I believe he did both at LSU. So we'll see how the Broncos bring him into the fold. Pass rusher, you can never have enough of them in the NFL. And it is something that the Broncos, I wouldn't call it like a top need or anything, but I think that, look, last year, they saw career years from guys like Nick Benito, Jonathan Cooper, Zach Allen on the inside. Those guys all had career years getting after the quarterback. And I think that it's hard to expect that kind of repeated production this year. And so you need to continue to add in guys there that are able to go after the quarterback. Ellis, the rookie last year, came on. We'll have to see what he's able to do as a rusher here in year 2. So the Broncos, it makes sense to bring in an edge defender there, and they must have liked what they've seen from Jones to trade up and take him. 6'5", 280 pounds. So he's a big guy, physical. Look, the Broncos are going to have to be able to stop the run. And reading about Jones, not necessarily his strongest suit, but, building up that defensive line is going to be important. And also getting after the quarterback, obviously. This division is really, on paper, stacking up to be very difficult. It feels like we say that every year, right? The AFC West is going to be really difficult. It doesn't always live up to that, but it does seem like these teams in the AFC West are getting better and better and better, and the Broncos are included in that too. So an exciting night for the Broncos. They've now taken 4 players in this draft. They're continuing to build this roster up and up and up. And I think that the 4 players here, you expect them to get a jersey here on game day and contribute somewhat as rookies. So that's the goal, right? You're taking these players in the first 2 days. They got to be able to come in and contribute. And certainly Harvey and Bryant are coming in at positions where the Broncos are looking to get better. And, I think that they're going to have to come in and give this offensive spark in order for the offense to take a jump. So we'll have to see. Barron, obviously, is going to play. And then Jones, we'll see. Sometimes those edge rushers, it takes them a little bit of time to come on. So we'll have to see. Clearly, though, he's got the size. He's got the build. And if he's able to, diagnose run plays a little bit better based off what I'm no draft expert, but that's what I'm reading here. And it makes sense for the Broncos to add the players at these positions. So far, I would give the Broncos, I think that they're addressing things that they needed to, and they're getting better. They're getting more athletic. They're building this roster. I will say that the Harvey and Bryant picks. Jones is TBD, right? But Harvey and Bryant, reading these guys in the media, you're expecting them to go a little bit later. The Broncos don't care about what the media mock drafts and where they have them slated to go. They're doing their own evaluation. They're coming up with what they've seen and how they've graded these guys, and they believe in Harvey and Bryant. So that's really, you just got to sort of say, look, we'll see what happens with these guys, and we'll have to trust the track record for George Payton and Sean Payton here. But I think as fans, at least for me, I see, okay, RJ Harvey, let me read about him a little bit here. Oh, he was supposed to go a little bit later. That's interesting. Those talent evaluators in the media, they do a heck of a job. I mean, they've got a hard job. They break down a lot of film. They provide a tremendous service to fans who love to consume the draft. But at the end of the day, they're just evaluators, right? And they're doing their best to predict what they're going to see. Sean Payton, George Payton, the whole Broncos talent evaluation and player personnel side, they're doing the same thing. So when it comes to some of these positions, I got to trust what the Broncos have seen, particularly running back, with the track record that Sean Payton has. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and see what these guys are able to bring. On Harvey, I saw like Jordan Schultz from Yahoo tweeted that an executive in the NFL was like, of course Sean Payton got this guy. He's going to get the most out of him, so when you hear things like that, you say, okay, maybe these guys are going to come in and contribute, and maybe the evaluators that we've been reading, they don't have the whole story, or maybe they don't see what Sean Payton sees. So let's just give them time. I know that we want to read draft grades and read all these things, but the only true test of this draft is going to be what we see in time. Give it 2 to 3 years, and we'll find out, because we'll certainly find out with Hampton and Genty in the division. The Broncos letting those guys, well, they let Hampton go. Genty probably never was a real possibility, but Hampton they let go. Travion Henderson they let pass. And so if those guys turn out to be studs, Broncos fans will remember this. And also the flip side of that, if Harvey turns out to be legit and a major factor, we're going to say, look, Sean Payton knows what he's doing here. Okay, he found his next Darren Sproles. He found the next guy. We got to give them props if they hit on these guys. So let's see. Let's give them some time. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed these breakdowns. Let me know what you think of these picks. Leave a comment. Leave a like. Please subscribe. I'll be back after this draft wraps up on Saturday night here with a little bit of a recap. And then hopefully next week we can get a true draft expert to come on and tell us how the Broncos did. But for now, you're stuck with just me. So hopefully you enjoyed these. That's going to do it for us here on day 2 of the NFL draft. For Broncos and Bourbon, I'm Phil Milani.